So if we're going to use 15 degrees for the half angle formula, essentially we're going to rewrite it. So there's our formula, with alpha being equal to 30 degrees. So we would rewrite it like this. So it would be sine of 30 divided by 2. Because 30 divided by 2 is our what? 15. Okay. So now we're just going to put this into our formula. First of all, is this going to be positive or negative? 15 degrees is in what quadrant? So it's going to be positive. So I'm actually going to write it. I usually don't write, but I'm going to go ahead and do it this time. I like the looks of that. Now the other thing, be really careful. You do have a fraction, so make your radical tall enough to fit both numerator and denominator, okay? So now I'm going to have 1 minus cosine of my alpha is the 30, not the 15. Okay? Cosine of 30 over the 2. All right, go to unit circle. What is cosine of 30 degrees? Square root of 3 over 2. And then over my 2. And see, I'm going to have to make my little radical longer, so I can include that too. At this point, it is just a matter of simplifying this down to a more simplified form by using our algebra skills. So what we would do next is our numerator. We need to find common denominator, and I want to bring these together. So I have 1 here, my denominator here over 2, so the denominator will be common denominator will be the 2, right? So what does 1 have to change to in order to add it? 2 over 2. So this is just going to become 2 over 2 minus our square root of 3 over 2. So let's go back over here. And again, make your thing long enough. So 2 minus square root of 3. Can I add those together? No. So it will just stay 2 minus square root of 3 over the 2. And then my denominator divided by the 2. At this point, let's go ahead, multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so that 2 minus the square root of 3 over 2, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal? 1/2. Okay, the 2 minus square root of 3 is a binomial. Put it in parentheses. You will have to multiply that by 1. Of course, if you multiply that by 1, what are you going to get? Same thing. So we'll have the 2 minus the square root of 3 over, we can do this though, yes. We can multiply the 2 and the 2, and we get 4. We are almost there. I see one more thing. Do you guys see one more thing we can do?
Simplify the fraction.
No. What else? The 4? No. No, we are not going to simplify those because we don't have something in this one. So we'll leave that. What can we do with the... Yeah. 4 is perfect square, right? Can we take the square root of 4? Yeah. So we'll want to go ahead and go one more step. So let's do that. Very good. So we're going to have... Now, we're going to take that 4. The square root of 4 is what? 2, right? So that 2 is going to be out of the radical. So your radical's only going to be on the top, so you'll make them kind of short again. So you'd have 2 minus the square root of 3 over 2. And that is about as simplified as we're going to get this thing. And we're going to stop right there. So we know we're looking at quadrant 2, so we're going to draw that in. Sine of 4 over 5 What is your ratio of sine? The sides are what? What is it? What's your sine ratio for what's your side ratio for sine? Okay. Okay. So if we're right here, we'll think opposite over hypotenuse. So we need to find our other leg. In this case, you know what it is. It is what? 3. They're nice when they give you that, aren't they? Okay. So now we're going to find 2 theta. So let's write down that formula. 2 theta is 2 times sine theta, cosine theta. So 2 times sine theta, they gave us this 4/5. Cosine theta, we found, oops, did I forget something? Oh, I actually didn't write it down. Let's go back. Let's come up here. Let me change color. What is cosine theta? Okay, so that is adjacent would be the 3/5. We are in quadrant 2. Negative. All right, so let's go back. Now we got that. Now we can put that information in. Times the negative 3/5. So here's my suggestion. You have fractions, right? And a whole number. What can you do to the whole number? Put a 1 under it so you know where it is. It is in the numerator. So numerator, 2 times 4 times negative 3. Over 5 times 5. So if I want to find sine of theta divided by 2, remember your formula requires the square root, right? Now remember, you have to decide if this is going to be positive or if this is going to be negative. In this situation, you're going to have to go back and come up to what they initially gave you up here where theta was, and you're going to half everything, okay? So that's the same thing as going through and just multiplying everything by a half. Hold on. I'm still in my circles. So we're going to multiply all these by a half, okay? That would give us our theta divided by 2. Now, theta divided by 2 is going to be greater than what? Multiply that, what do you end up with? Pi over what? Pi over 4. And over here, multiply that with the half, and you're going to end up with pi over 2. Okay, so what quadrant is theta divided by 2 in? Quadrant 1. Okay, so actually, your half, when we halved him, now we're in quadrant 1. Make sure you do that very, very, very important step. So now let's go ahead and put it in. So that's going to be equal to positive, and then you're going to drop in your information that you have. 1 minus, okay, cosine. What did we find cosine to be? We already found it. What was cosine?
3/5.
Was it 3/5? Yes, thank you. It was negative 3/5. So you're just going to put that right in over your 2. Okay? And then you'll just proceed then, kind of what we did before, to simplify that down. We'll kind of go through it. That minus and negative is going to come back as a plus positive for starters. What's your 1 going to change to so you can add those together? 5 over 5. So if we combine our numerator over here, that would give us 5. Oh, we can add these, can't we? We won't have a 5 plus the 3. What's that going to give us? 8. So we're just going to have 8 over 5. Divided by your 2. Now what? yeah, so it would be times what? 1/2. Multiplying by the reciprocal. So 8 and 2, can we do something there? Yeah. Okay, so what do we have now? So now we have the square root of 4 times 1, which is 4, over 5 times the 1, 4/5. Can we do anything to this? Can we go any further?
Square root of 4.
Yeah. You see the 4? What can we do with square root of 4? If you want, you can split it up. You can do square root of 4 over square root of 5. Square root of 4 we know is 2, so we're going to have 2 over square root of 5. And then that leaves one more step. What do we have to do there? Yeah. So we would have to multiply top. We're going to have to rationalize, multiply top and bottom by square root of 5. So we'd have 2 square root of 5 over 5. Okay. And that would be good for that one. So when you are finding, so if you're using your half angle formula and you're using radians, this is how you're going to get the half angle. This is how you're going to get the half angle. This is going to be equal to the sine of 1/2 times pi, and this one's going to be, since it's negative, we'll bring it in, pi over what? 2 divided by what gives you 12? I'm sorry, I said that wrong. What did I say? 2 times what? 2 times what gives you 12? Sorry. So we would make pi over 6. Okay? So if you multiplied the 1/2 with the negative pi over 6, we would get back that pi over 12. Okay? So that's the step you have to go through on that one. And I'll put it in, and I'm not going to go any further than that. So, so if we have a negative pi over 6, are we going to use a positive or a negative for our radical? Negative. Because what quadrant is a negative pi over 6 in? Quadrant 4, because it's negative, so we're going clockwise. Okay, very good. So we'd have negative, and then we would put in 1 minus cosine of the negative pi over 6 divided by our 2. So to get your value off your unit circle, negative pi over 6, you're down there in that quadrant 4, so be real careful when you place it in. Cosine in quadrant 4 is actually what? Your coordinate. What's your coordinate for this? Your negative pi over 6. What is it? Quadrant 4. Quadrant 4. No, it's your cosine. Isn't your cosine positive in quadrant 4? Yeah. You're over 2. Yes, thank you. Yeah. No, you're good. Okay. And then over your 2. Now see what I'm talking about? Be real careful. Get that radical where it needs to be. I always draw mine too short. All right, and then you would proceed then to find common denominator in the numerator, and then bring up your 2 by multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay? So once you go back, find common denominator in the numerator, and then you change it to your multiplication, multiplying by your reciprocal. Your final answer will be negative square root of 2 minus square root of 3 divided by 2.